So welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we've got a Golf R MK7.5. Is in today for a moving res delete apparently, and actually it's in for a Haldex service. Yeah, it's not the first time that's happened. It's also in today for a Haldex service, so this is something that we specialise here at JCR. We did another video just the other day, I think on the Gen 2. This is the Gen 5, so it's slightly different on these. This one doesn't actually have its own filter where you can actually replace it. I think on the, oh, I hope someone's moved it, but oh no, there it is. Yeah, on the Gen 2 one, we took this filter out and we changed it for a new one on its service. These ones, because they don't actually have a filter like this, have a different service interval. So the service interval for this, I think, is down as 20,000. However, that is going to change. It's dependent on your driving style. So if you're going around launching it, you're using your full four-wheel drive, you're distributing power to each of the wheels, essentially you're using your Haldex. So the more you use your Haldex, the more the oil goes through the strainer, the more particles will basically build up. We've never taken one of these off and it actually not look a little bit mucky. I don't recall doing one where we've taken it off and gone, that's a clean one. So we're going to have a look at this one. The actual unit itself looks quite clean, and we have a little bit of a surprise for you today. So you'll probably notice that I'm not dressed in normal work attire like I am on my other videos, and the reason for that is I'm retiring. Not quite. I actually have a glamorous assistant. It's not Debbie McGee. It is our new technician, and he's called Reese, but we call him Rice. He doesn't say very many words. In fact, when he speaks, he quacks. It's a little bit like this. Quack. We've had to learn to understand him, so I'm probably still going to be on the videos just to translate for you what he's actually saying. So without further ado, we only need a few tools for these, so that the Haldex is actually quite a simple service when you know how and you've got the right tools for it. So if you want to come over, Reese, and obviously we can, yeah, Rice, come on. Wah. Wah. Right, okay, so we need just a few tools, Rice. What have we got that we're going to be using today on this?
Deep 10mm socket.
Right, Jace, I'm just going to interrupt you, right? So you've gotten Reese to speak, yeah? Which is great, because he did speak and he spoke quite confidently as well. However, Reese isn't mic'd up, Jace.
He's not mic'd up.
Reese doesn't have a mic.
Do I have to
so you have to talk you have to do the talking, unfortunately.
I'm trying to get out of talking.
I know you are.
So these are the tools that we're going to be using today. We've got a 10mm deep socket. That's going to, well, we're going to show you where we're going to use them in a bit, just so you get your tools out and you're ready. If you're going to be doing these types of services at home, you've bought a kit, because we will make these kits available to you on our website. Keep a lookout for that. You're going to need an 8mm hex. You're going to need a 5mm hex. You can use Allen keys as well if you've got Allen keys that fit. We just put them on the ratchet because it's easier. You can use a T30 for one of the Haldex pump bolts, but we use the 10mm deep because we don't really like to round things out. Less chance of rounding it if you use a socket. Genuine oil, only use genuine parts for these cars. If you've got a £20,000 plus car, a performance car that you want to actually perform, just use the genuine parts. That's what it was made to be put in there. That's what we're going to put in. We're going to use a different contraption than normal. We used this the other day on the other one. We purchased a new one. As you see, it's brand new. So that we're going to use it on this one, so we can take the oil and basically just pump it straight in. But we're going to show you that anyway. So, Reese, there's a couple of things actually. So there was a couple more tools that we did get out, and there's a reason for this. The Haldex pump needs to be unplugged. So there's a plug, which I'm going to show you, well Reese is going to show you shortly, which you have to kind of undo from the top. There's a couple of ways of doing this. You can take the Haldex pump control unit off itself and kind of get a better angle on it to get a screwdriver under, or you know, something to kind of get that electrical clip on the move, but they do often kind of stick. So Reese is going to show you how to do that shortly, and shall we have a look under the car and actually see what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to start by showing you the Haldex unit itself. What we're going to be doing, it's like I say, it's quite simple. You can see the pump itself there. We're going to undo the two 10mm bolts there, because what we're going to do is we're going to take that pump out, and at the end of that pump there is a strainer. But in order to take that pump out, you've got to release it from the wiring harness, which is actually plugged in by I think it's got like a guide on the top. Now these wires become quite brittle over time, so be careful. You know, the actual housing for the wire becomes brittle. If you pulling it out, you'll find that sometimes it just disintegrates in your hands. We've then got the fill plug, which is here, which is the 5mm hex, so that's there. And then you've got the 8mm hex, which is on the drain plug, which is here. And then you've got the actual control unit, which is the Haldex control unit here. Now, if you struggle with the electrical plug, which is the one on the right hand side here above, if you struggle, so it's there, it's an electrical plug that's just in there where my middle finger is. So if you struggle to get that off, because they are quite problematic, you can take the controller off, and there's some, well, we use a T30 on them because it's hard to get a 10mm socket in there. You might be able to do it if you've got some kind of flexible wrench, like, but I think we used these. If you want to get in there, it becomes problematic because you can actually get the angle, because without that you've got the actual prop and housing there, which is just getting in the way. So you can take them off in various different ways. If you do that, that will give you a better angle from here to get something under the clip and safely remove it rather than breaking it, which we've done quite a few of them now. So we don't like to break people's cars, and especially not electrical clips. That's essentially, I mean, we start with unplugging the electrical clip, pulling the harness wire out down there, unplug the fill plug, unplug the drain plug, and let it drain out. I'm going to let Reese get on with some of them jobs. Now we've got the electrical plug down, that means that we can take this pump off safely without damaging any wiring. But here is what I was saying about this wiring. I'm going to let Aidan take a picture, because this does become brittle over time. I've seen ones in worse condition than this, but just be aware of that when you're pulling them down. Just be a little bit careful, because they do just disintegrate in your hand. Around about 700mm normally I think is what fills these. VW send out a bottle which is like 850. Reason for this is, in order to know that the Haldex is full, you're going to have to let it overflow slightly, so you're going to have a little bit of seepage there. You're also, whichever tool that you're going to use to put the Haldex oil in, you're going to be doing an upward fill. So as much as you want to get every single last bit of the oil out, you're more than likely not going to, so it's better to have more than the actual amount that comes out. So that's the reason for that. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, so that didn't look particularly nice. Okay, so now that we're just about nearly finished draining, in the interim what we're going to do is we're going to take the pump down. So there is a little notch between the pump and the Haldex housing there. So if you get a screwdriver or a pry bar and just twist slightly, the pump should come off nice and easily. So if you want to take it down, Reese, and then we're going to have a look and see what's in the back. Yeah. Right, okay. Okay, so straight away, and you turn that around and turn it upside down maybe. There we go, it smells. No, whoa. So, this is exactly what we're on about. This inside the Haldex pump is going to stop and restrict the oil from moving to the parts of the Haldex differential that it needs to. Essentially, what you're doing is you're starving one side of the oil, and if it's not receiving that power, it's going to eventually fail. So it looks like we've intervened at the right time on this one. What we're going to do is we're going to take the actual filter, well, it's not a filter, it's a strainer, that's what we were saying. Because these aren't fitted with filters, this is what needs to be cleaned. A lot of, even the dealers miss this, where they will just put oil inside the Haldex and they won't take the strainer down and clean it. After a certain amount of miles, you know, these vehicles do need to be regularly serviced. We say on the annual service, after a vehicle maybe has done 20 to 40,000 miles, that you should possibly do this every 10,000 miles. If you drive your cars hard, which most of our customers do, and there is nothing wrong with that, we're all for that. We're all about power. We're all about, you know, VWs. We like to drive our cars hard, but this is the direct result of that. If you're going to drive your car hard, it needs to be serviced more regularly. We advise to do this on the annual service. So whenever it's gone over 20 to 40,000 miles, we think that it's a good idea to avoid this from happening, that when you bring your car in for its annual service, you can get a miller's upgrade with us. You know, we do great service packages. Bring them down to us. We'll do that as a point of reference and include it into your service package. I'm going to let Reese, I don't know, he's probably going to have to find the smallest little torques that we've got to get in there to get this strainer down, and then we're going to have a look underneath it and see what's underneath. So we're going to go and see Reese. Reese is in the workshop. He's going to clean that strainer very nicely. So we're going to go through to the workshop. Just going to pop through our software room. This is where we do a little bit of tuning in here. So we do programming, coding, a few different bats. It's a clean room. We don't like to bit people's cars dirty, and we don't like to damage doors either in here because it is quite a small room. But we love this room. We also have discos in here after hours. Hi, Rice. Hi, Rice.
Hi.
Whack. Okay, so what are you going to do, Rice? So what are you taking them little ones out with?
T10.
So the very fact that it was retaining oil shows you how bad that filter is, that strainer is, because if that strainer is clean on the outside, when you take that out, when you've taken that pump out, that strainer will release the oil that's is in there. It won't be retained. The reason that had oil in there is it's because it's been retained. It's because it's not been let out. That's what's going through your system. So essentially, keep these things maintained. So whenever we do these services, we always renew the pump bolts. Just make sure that everything's done, and we renew the rubber seals. Whenever you do any rubber seals, obviously a little bit of oil, lube them up, make sure that they go on nice, that they actually seal when they go in. We've cleaned the pump up all nice, so now the part that the oil comes up through is clear of all the debris that was inside and all around the outside of the strainer. The strainer is now ready to go on. So we can put the strainer back on. Not too hard. You can feel when it reaches its bite. You know when you're going to do damage on these things, really. And you can see it as a guide that it's in. So I'm just going to clean that little extra bit of dirty oil that's come back up. That is now all ready to go back in. So I'm going to hand that over to Reese. I explained earlier that these go brittle. We're just going to tape that up just to give it a little bit additional protection, because there's heat down there, and the reason that this is around it is to protect it from the heat. If you allow it to be like that, that then will allow the wire to go brittle itself, and then you've got the risk of the wires crossing and touching each other, and obviously the pump will fail and not signal. So that's really important as well. If you want to tidy that up, Reese, and then that pump is pretty much ready to go back up and in. Okay, so shall we go back through? We'll get this pump put back up, move some of these. That's it, mate. You're gonna have to stick your finger right in there, Reese.
Yeah, that's massive knob. Clean it out. So
he's more worried about his bloody heel.
he is. He loves his shoulder, and he's gonna be.
He's trying to get stacked in.
Gonna get stacked.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm gonna come and work at JCR and get stacked.
Gonna be a fucking meathead.
Gonna be an absolute beast.
Like Jay was 6 months ago.
Like I was when I was
6
fat
months
before,
ago, yeah. We didn't even realise you were fat.
But that's before my old man on me. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
still recording. Okay, so we were ready to carry on what we're doing. Okay, so we've cleaned out the part where the pump goes in. Yeah. Without further ado, Reese is going to start putting the pump back in first. This oil really smells quite vile. It smells like cat's urine or something.
Cat's urine?
Disgusting. It smells like cat piss then, doesn't it, really? So for the purists out there, you'll probably notice on some of the videos that I've done previously, I've not used a torque wrench per se when I've been putting some stuff back. That's because I do them day in, day out. As Reese is new in, I'm going to let him go through the torque settings on these. So for the drain on the 8mm hex, it's 32 newton meters when you're putting it back. For the fill plug on the 5mm hex, that's 15 newton meters when you're putting it back. And for the two Haldex pump 10mm bolts, they're 9.5 newton meters. So it is important to, to not try and thread anything or round anything, or kind of over tighten anything, because it's going to make it difficult for the next time that you come in to service it. And as a garage, we want you to bring that car back, so we're only making our own lives hard when we come to service it again. Make sure that you use the torque settings and you know kind of what you're doing with that. So I'm going to let Reese carry on and finish the job. So that's the pump back on. If we do the drain up, so that we can then start filling with the upfill pump. We didn't really explain at the beginning that we'll be using these torque wrenches. You've probably just seen Reese use it. Once you've put the settings in, it will make a clicking motion. You'll be able to hear it, but most importantly you'll be able to feel it. It's a different type of ratchet click, and you'll know then that that's actually the correct newton meters that has been reached on the torque wrench. So now that that's been done, we are now ready to fill. You want to put that in there. Okay, I'll hold that in. It's quite a clever little device, this. Essentially, you can upfill the oil, he says, when it starts getting up. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So, there we go. We have a few different tools where we upfill oil into DSG gearboxes, and we use things for Haldexes. I was looking for a tool with low wastage of the oil because it's quite expensive. So we've tried this new tool just to see what we think. You can get like some syringe type tools, we've got a couple of them, but we want to kind of monitor how much we're losing. Aidan referred to it like a Costa coffee if we don't waste too much of the Haldex oil. Eventually, because we do these day in, day out, it'd be like getting a free coffee. If you sell for 100ml somewhere, that's nice clean oil. Yeah. Right, stop filming my arm. It's getting fucking cat pissed on, man. Get this shit away from me, man. It's fucking disgusting. I don't want to get involved in these videos no more. Don't want to do this job no more. Smell like cat piss. So that brings us to the end of our video on the Haldex Gen 5 service on this Golf R MK7.5. Reese is literally just putting the controller back in situ. Everything is done to the right torque settings, and I think that we've just probably saved this customer a big bill for a new diff. So I'm hoping that the customer, when he sees some of the pictures that we've taken of his Haldex, understands why it's important to keep on top of the servicing for this. That's about it for my part in this video. Reese is going to take over and he's going to be doing the res delete shortly. But for now, I'm going to get out of the unit. I'm going to go and do some software somewhere else with one of our other trade clients. And I'm going to leave you in Rice's good hands with Aidan. Thank you very much for watching.